Picture this. You wake up tomorrow and find out one company has quietly skimmed half the planet's taxes, hired its own army, and turned your hometown into a cash machine. Sounds like a Netflix dystopia, right? Except it happened 3 centuries ago. The East India Company didn't rob a bank. It bought an empire, let it dry, and walked off with what today would top $3 trillion. Here's how they pulled it off. Before the grab, India was the planet's hottest economy. In 1700, it cranked out about a quarter of global GDP. Think California, Texas, and New York stitched together and powered by silk, steel, spices, and cotton. The Mughals sat on the throne, but real day-to-day juice belonged to regional nawabs, zamindars, and buzzing ports like Surat and Calcutta. Trade flowed freely, taxes were light, and Indian fabrics were so fine that European aristocrats swapped fortunes for a single shawl. While most Europeans were still chewing on salted beef and wearing itchy wool, Indians wore muslin so delicate it could pass through a ring. Into this scene strolls a tiny London outfit that sells, basically, tea and trinkets, yet carries a royal charter, giving it a monopoly on half the world's trade. The company's first weapon wasn't a cannon, it was parchment. In 1600, Queen Liz scribbled her name and handed the EIC exclusive rights to everything east of the Cape of Good Hope. No fleet, no fort, just a fancy seal. For the next 100 years they played nice. Warehouses in Madras, Calcutta, Surat, a few pocket watches for local governors, polite requests to unload bolts of English broadcloth nobody wanted. The Mughals yawned. They needed European silver more than scratchy fabric, so a handful of foreigners rented dockside sheds. Looked harmless, like a corporate Airbnb with a couple of muskets on the porch. By 1750, the company's hottest product wasn't tea, it was creative accounting. Clerks doubled as private traders, smuggling Indian silk and opium under the company flag and pocketing the cash. How much? In 1764, these private trades cost Bengal roughly £9.8 billion in today's pounds. That's not a rounding error. That's the annual budget of a medium-sized European country. The Nawab of Bengal begged London to stop the looting. The directors shrugged. Private initiative keeps the sailors happy. Translation: we're too busy stacking coins to babysit our own staff. Enter Robert Clive, a short-tempered accountant who once tried to shoot himself because his girlfriend dumped him. In 1757, Clive faced Siraj-ud-Dowlah, 50,000 troops on one side, 3,000 company soldiers, and a bag of gold on the other. Spoiler, the bag won. Mir Jafar, the Nawab's own general, took Clive's bribe and marched his men off the field mid-fight. Plassey wasn't an epic showdown. It was a corporate takeover wearing a fake mustache. After the dust settled, the East India Company became Bengal's de facto ruler. Population 30 million, give or take. With the steering wheel in hand, the company stamped the gas on taxes. They took a Mughal land revenue system already asking peasants for 15% and cranked it to 50%. Miss a payment? Your farm went to the highest bidder, usually a company man's cousin. Villages starved, but London's ledgers glowed. Between 1760 and 1770, the company yanked £12 million in silver out of Bengal while spending £2 million on famine relief. That's like charging rent and refusing to patch the roof while it rains inside. Taxes alone weren't sexy enough. The company wanted market share. Indian weavers, who once supplied Persian and Ottoman courts, suddenly faced British cloth dumped below cost. 20% losses just to crush the locals. Once the looms fell silent, prices shot back up. A Dhaka spinning wheel that once fed 6 mouths became firewood. By 1800, India's slice of global manufacturing dropped from 25% to under 3%. Call it the original hostile platform takeover. Only the platform was a civilization. In 1769, the monsoons failed. Crops crisped, rivers shrank, grain prices tripled overnight. A half-decent government would have opened the granaries. The company hoarded rice to keep prices high, then blamed lazy natives when people started eating grass. Result: the Great Bengal Famine of 1770. 10 million people, one-third of Bengal, starved while company warehouses bulged. Governor Warren Hastings wrote, "The famine has been severe, but the revenue has been collected." If you ever wondered how a corporation can be both broke and profitable, there's your answer. Let's crunch the numbers the company hoped you'd never see. From 1765 to 1815, the company shifted roughly £1.8 billion in silver to Britain. Inflation adjusted, that's over $3 trillion today. But the real theft wasn't the bullion, it was the future. By smashing local industry and locking India into raw material dependency, the company made sure every later generation paid rent in cheap labor and captive markets. The compound interest on that lost growth? Pick a number, any number, then double it. By 1772, the company was technically bust. Stock in free fall, dividends gone, creditors circling like vultures around a dying elephant. For the next 80 years, the company lurched from war to war, punching the Marathas, bribing the Nizam, blasting Tipu Sultan. Each victory added territory and headaches. The 1857 rebellion finished the job. Indian soldiers, furious about cartridges greased with cow and pig fat, marched on Delhi. After brutal fighting, Britain dissolved the company in 1874 and swallowed India whole. The outfit that once owned an army evaporated into footnotes. Its shareholders bought out at a tidy premium. History isn't dusty trivia, it's the OS running the present. If you want more stories about how the past hacked today, hit subscribe and ring the bell so the next episode finds you. The East India Company may be dead, but its signature cocktail, privatize the profit, socialize the loss, never went out of fashion. Modern resource giants still strip mine mountains while leaving locals with poisoned rivers. Tax havens still siphon billions from poor nations. The playbook looks familiar because it was beta tested in Calcutta warehouses circa 1765. Next time you sip tea from a paper cup stamped with a global logo, remember, those leaves once bankrolled the biggest heist in human history, and the tab is still being paid. History's trillion-dollar heist didn't need ski masks or getaway cars, just ledgers, bribes, and a flag with a crown on it. The East India Company didn't have to destroy a nation. It simply bought it, taxed it, and flipped the pieces for profit. The kicker? We're still stuck in the sequel. So the next time someone insists corporations are people, ask if people can levy taxes, field armies, and skip town on famine duty. The East India Company did all three and never spent a single night in jail.